When I was in 2nd grade back in 2008, I had to do a project on the Princess and the Frog story. I always wondered why Disney hadn't made a movie on it yet. The next year, we were gifted with this film. Following that, I hoped for my next favorite fairy tale, Rapunzel, and Disney delivered. So, following that logic, please, 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 please.
Let me shine a little light on the situation.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your BFF Snowy Oreo 663 here, right now. The Princess and the Frog, our last 2D animated film on this little adventure of Disney princess movies. I will never understand why people turn away from beautiful line work like this. This movie has a lot of things going for it compared to its other princess films. Most obviously, we have our first black princess, which is rather odd it took this long to get one. Tiana is also the first princess to have a job. She's tied with Cinderella for being the oldest at 19, and she's technically the youngest due to time period, with her story taking place in the 1920s. And with Disney announcing the closing of my favorite ride at the freaking theme parks, Splash Mountain, and doing a re-theme to Princess and the Frog, now is a perfect time to dive into this film. Let's get going! We open in New Orleans, where Eudora the seamstress is reading The Princess and the Frog to her daughter Tiana and Tiana's best friend Charlotte LaBeouf, also called Lottie. Lottie is in love with the story, while Tiana states that she would never kiss a frog. Lottie tortures her kitten before her father, Big Daddy LaBeouf, comes in. She begs for another dress and Eudora and Tiana leave. While Lottie lives in a very rich neighborhood, Tiana's from a much less fancy place. She's in love with cooking, and her father tells her how she has an amazing gift for making food. After sharing some gumbo with the neighbors, her father shows her a picture of a restaurant he hopes to have one day, writing the name of it for Tiana. She sees a star outside her room, ready to wish for the restaurant.
That old star can only take you part of the way. You gotta help along with some hard work of your own, and yeah, you can do anything you set your mind to.
That's actually a really good message for kids. And that's a really involved and helpful dad. He's dead meat, isn't he? After her parents leave, Tiana sees a frog outside her window, screams, and then runs out in fear. Many years later, Tiana comes home after a long night of work. She's saving up her money and working many jobs, always remembering her father's words. Oh, and the dad died.
What a twist!
Without a moment of rest, she gets up and heads to her second job as the background song, Dreams Come True in New Orleans, plays. It's getting close to Mardi Gras, and many things are happening in this town. A man named Dr. Facilier is scamming people with voodoo magic, and sees the rich Big Daddy drive by. His shadow is sentient, ready for an evil scheme. In the papers today, Prince Naveen from the Kingdom of Maldonia, I guess, is arriving in New Orleans, and we learn that the prince is a party boy, although Tiana isn't exactly interested, unlike these ladies.
What's wrong with her? She's crazy. He's gorgeous.
At work, Tiana refuses to go dancing with her friends that night because she has to work. After the chef teases her about her lifestyle, Big Daddy comes in to eat, with Tiana congratulating him on being king of the Mardi Gras parade. Lottie comes in too, and I just have to say now, she is the best part of this movie. This scene in particular is just hilarious.
Tell her what you did, Big Daddy. Tell her!
Well,
Big Daddy invited the prince to a masquerade ball tonight. Oh, tell her what else you did, Big Daddy. Go on.
And he's staying. And he's staying at our house as my personal guest.
She asks Tiana to make a large amount of sweets for the party, throwing a wad of cash at her in payment, finally giving Tiana enough money for her restaurant. She makes the down payment immediately to the Fenner Brothers Realty, purchasing an old sugar mill. Eudora tells Tiana that she's working herself too hard and needs to settle down and find a Prince Charming and give her some grandkids. Tiana starts to sing her princess song, Almost There, about how she won't ever give up on working hard to achieve her dream. The art style changes to match the style with the picture her dad gave her, and the two get started on cleaning. Meanwhile, Naveen is partying it up, offering to buy everyone drinks. His servant named Lawrence reminds him that he has no money since his parents cut him off, and he either has to marry a rich girl or get a job. Also combined with that stupid horse sound effect. Dr. Facilier takes advantage of the situation, dragging the prince off to his lair and tempting him with his magic. Lawrence's insults cause the Shadow Man to break out into song called Friends on the Other Side. I'll talk more about the song in the villain segment, but for now, look at this. The pattern on the wall is very distinct, but whenever Dr. Facilier's shadow goes over it, it turns into a skull and crossbones. That is so cool! He reads some tarot cards for them, promising money for Naveen and a life without work for Lawrence. When the two shake his hands, the best part of the song occurs, while all his voodoo powers come together to steal some of the prince's blood. Colors, pretty, music, neon, I'm in heaven! Where was this all my life? At the masquerade ball, Lottie is getting antsy with the prince nowhere to be found. She begs to her star when he arrives on the scene. As they dance, Tiana talks with the Fenner brothers, where they tell her that she was outbid for the mill, and unless she can afford the whole amount in cash the day after Mardi Gras, she'll lose the building. While yelling at them, she falls and makes a mess, Lottie offering her help and taking her upstairs. She dons a beautiful blue dress, and Lottie rushes back out to her prince. Tiana sings a saddened reprise of Almost There, deciding to wish upon the evening star as a last-ditch effort. She spots a frog on the balcony, jokingly offering it a kiss.
Kissing would be nice, yes?
After throwing things at the talking frog, this unsettling adult joke happens.
You have a very strong arm, princess.
Prince Naveen introduces himself, recognizing the book of The Princess and the Frog. He offers her money in exchange for a kiss, thinking she's a princess because of her tiara. With some hesitation, she kisses the creature, only to find that she has also been turned into a frog. Well, I don't think that's something anyone expected going into this movie. They scuffle around at the party for a while before flying away on some balloons. Dr. Facilier sees them fly off, confronting the fake Naveen for letting him go. It's revealed that the fake Naveen is actually Lawrence, wearing a talisman of Naveen's blood, and he's planning on marrying Lottie to gain her father's money. The Shadow Man lets it slip that if the talisman is ruined, he'll be in deep trouble with his friends on the other side. In the bayou, the two frogs argue with each other, Naveen insulting Tiana for not actually being a princess, but instead a waitress. He then tells her that he never had any money, and they fall into the water and get chased by alligators. Tiana hides in a tree and only rescues him when he promises to give some of Lottie's money to her for the restaurant. The next morning, Tiana builds a raft while Naveen plays guitar made from a stick and spiderweb? Okay, sure. Luring the attention of a gator named Lewis and his trumpet. The two talk about the Shadow Man, and Lewis is convinced to take them to Mama Odie, a voodoo queen in the bayou. The three of them sing a song called When We're Human, about what each of them would do if they became human. Lewis wants to be able to play music for the people, and he has to be a human to achieve his dream. After all, he's tried to play before.
It didn't end well.
Lawrence tries flirting with Lottie as Naveen, but the blood in the talisman is wearing out, leading to him slowly turning back into his old self.
I can no longer ignore the throbbing of my heart.
Damn, boy, he's sick!
Before all hope is lost, he proposes to her, and Lottie excitedly accepts and runs off. In the bayou, Naveen starts to discover his new frog abilities by attempting to eat bugs. Tiana involuntarily joins in, resulting in the two of them getting tongue-tied. Lewis isn't any help, and when he disappears for a moment, a firefly named Ray shows up and offers to help. He makes butt jokes.
You got my big butt glowing, that's right.
Oh, wait, I can do one better.
Women like a man with a big back porch.
Once they get free, Ray explains that they are heading in the wrong direction for Mama Odie's, proving that Lewis is, once again, no help. Ray calls up his family in this beautiful shot, and the group of fireflies sing a song called Goin Down the Bayou. While that's going on, Dr. Facilier is asking his friends for help getting Prince Naveen back. He explains his plan. He will kill Big Daddy once Lawrence and Lottie wed, and with all the money, he will rule the town, letting his friends feed on the souls of the residents. With that in place, his friends deploy themselves to search for the frogs. Ray tells his new companions about his girl, a firefly named Evangeline. This gets Naveen and Tiana to argue over working versus enjoying life, the two insulting each other quite a bit.
Killjoy.
You're a no-count philanderer and lazy bump on a log.
A stick in the mud.
Chasing chambermaids round your ivory tower.
Actually, it's polished marble.
A few, rednecks pop up. What the hell is this? I'm just gonna skip these next 4 minutes.
I like it. You are secretly funny.
Not a stick in the mud.
Well, I
Say it.
School.
Say it.
Wait, what? Okay, let's go back. What changed? Okay, he gets captured. Ray goes into a nose. Naveen gets away. Tiana gets caught. Naveen distracts them. She gets away. They beat each other up. Was this supposed to be character development? Well, Ray helps Lewis get free of some pricker bushes. Tiana prepares some swamp gumbo. She orders Naveen to mince some mushrooms, and after his lame attempts, she helps him. He reveals that his servants did everything for him since he was a child, and once his parents cut him off, he didn't know how to do anything. That's more like it. Good bonding. While eating, Ray spots Evangeline, which is revealed to be the evening star in the sky. He begins to sing how much he loves her, where Naveen tries to dance with Tiana. She admits she's never danced before, and Naveen pulls her back.
If I can mince, you can dance.
This is very cute and all, but are they about to kiss? Remember literally 10 minutes ago?
A stick in the mud.
Tiana shuts him down, reminding him of Lottie, but their talk is cut off when Naveen gets caught by some of the friends. Some light magic frees him, revealing Mama Odie, once again one of the greatest things in this movie. She's a blind woman who lives in this dope-ass house and has a pet snake named Juju. Mama Odie offers to help them out. Wait, before that, one more joke.
Mama Odie.
Juju! Why did you tell me my gumbo was burning?
Mama Odie tells the frogs that they want to be human, but are blind to what they need. She begins to sing Dig a Little Deeper, where she tells Naveen that money won't buy him happiness. It reminds Tiana of her father and that he knew what he needed. After a super colorful finale, Tiana doesn't seem to get the point, leaving Mama Odie to use her magic gumbo to search for a princess. Yes, those are lines I just uttered. Lottie is shown to be a princess since Big Daddy is king of Mardi Gras, meaning she has to kiss Naveen before midnight. Lewis leads the group to a boat to travel back to New Orleans, wandering off with a group of costume performers. Left alone, Naveen makes a ring out of spare parts and tells Ray about his plans to propose to Tiana. Already? Really? He sets up a nice dinner, but he's terrible at flirting with her. Before he can pop the question, Tiana spots the sugar mill, telling Naveen about her dream to open it up. He realizes that if he marries Tiana, he won't get any money to help her achieve her dream, and decides to continue with his original plan and marry Lottie to get the money, planning to give Tiana what she needs. Walking away sadly, he is once again captured by the friends and brought to Dr. Facilier, where his blood refills the talisman. Arriving in New Orleans, Ray tells Tiana about Naveen's plans to propose. Excited, she runs through the crowd to find him, stopping as she sees fake Naveen being wed to Lottie. Shouldn't she know that's not him? I mean, she's still a frog, and she saw a fake Naveen earlier at the masquerade ball. What the hell? Ray chooses to go off and find the truth, leading him to release Naveen from a box just in time to stop the wedding, saving Big Daddy's life. Naveen pulls Lawrence off the parade float, getting him into a church and stealing the talisman. Ray takes the necklace and flies off to Tiana, proving Naveen's innocence. He starts to attack the friends, but gets stopped by Dr. Facilier, who, oh. Well, he's the lovable sidekick, I'm sure he'll be fine. Tiana threatens to break the talisman, and Dr. Facilier uses his magic to show Tiana her dream restaurant. He tells her that if she gives him the talisman, he will give all of this to her. After all, it's sad that her dad worked so hard all his life and never got it, so she could give him what he always wanted. Tiana refuses, saying that her father never got what he wanted, but he had love, which is what he needed. She tells him that her father never lost sight of what was important, and throws the talisman, but Dr. Facilier's shadow catches it. Reverting back to a frog, the Shadow Man taunts her, and Tiana uses her tongue to grab the necklace back and smash it, causing his friends to appear and literally drag Dr. Facilier to hell. Holy sh**, that is so goddamn cool! Meanwhile, Lawrence is discovered and arrested, and Lottie finds the real Naveen, and listens to his tale with only a few minutes left. Naveen makes Lottie promise to give Tiana the money for her restaurant after they marry, admitting that Tiana is his Evangeline. Aww. Tiana stops them, confessing her love for Naveen. Lottie sees their love and offers to kiss him without requiring marriage, but the clock goes off, meaning they ran out of time. Why didn't Lottie turn into a frog? Lewis arrives, proving that his character was completely pointless. But he has an injured Ray. He'll be fine. Where's the magic fairy to show up and save him? You're taking your time. Hey, going down the bayou, going down the bayou. Oh, holy... They actually killed him off. Wow, that's depressing. Now I have to watch this Firefly Funeral? I'm gonna admit, this next scene sometimes makes me cry. As everyone sheds tears for their fallen comrade, a light shines from above, revealing a new star right next to Evangeline. That's really sweet. Sometime later, Mama Odie marries the two frogs in the bayou, and as they kiss, they turn human. Once Tiana married Naveen, she became a princess, thus breaking the spell. They have a second wedding for their families, and the story begins to wrap up. So, how do they pay off the down payment? Does Lottie help them? Does Naveen convince his parents to help? Do they both get jobs? No, they just threaten the Fenners with Lewis. What's the moral again? I do like how Tiana's restaurant isn't exactly what she pictured in her dream, but it's still very elegant. Lewis performs on stage with Naveen, and the lovers even wear wedding rings. That's actually a really nice touch.
Who'd have thought the prince would have had a younger brother? How old did you say you were? I'm 6.5. Well, I waited this long.
No, bad touch. Get her away from that child. Do not touch the child! Naveen and Tiana dance together, and we end the film on the two loving stars in the sky. Before we get into the rankings, I want to talk about something real quick. The message of this movie is probably my least favorite thing about it, just because I see it as starting off strong with working hard to achieve your goals, then getting weighed down by needing to have a family and settle down. I'll talk more about this in the best movie category, but I wanted to bring my mother in again, and let her talk about what she thinks it means. Take it away, Mom.
So I just recently watched The Princess and the Frog with Elizabeth. I noticed a lot more going on in this movie than I had remembered when I first saw it in theaters. One of the things that I really liked about this particular movie was that it really shows a very strong work ethic and a very high placement of wholesome family values when it comes to the main character, Tiana, and her father and her mother. What's interesting is that the character of Lottie, I think that's her nickname, she is just so focused on the fairy tales and how just everything seems to work out. And that, I think, comes from a little bit of privilege that she's got in her life and the financial status that she has, that she feels like things are just supposed to work out. Tiana has much more of a realistic view of the world. She knows you have to work hard to get the things you want, and she's very focused on that. And while they were showing her father figure working hard and having dreams of having a restaurant, they also showed that he placed the value of his relationships with people that he cares about, his family or friends. They didn't show his friends, but the idea of placing the high value on your relationships is sometimes more important than overworking and missing out on those relationships. And I think that there's something to be said for the strong work ethic, which he definitely had, but I think Tiana was taking it to a new level. She was taking it to a place where she was putting that above all else. You saw where her friends were trying to ask her to do things and be young, and she was setting it all aside. And to some extent, the whole point of the movie for me is work hard, have dreams, but you want to make sure you have someone to share it with. It doesn't necessarily mean marriage per se, even though that was kind of what was implied with this movie, but to me it's you want to make sure that you have something in your life of value besides going to work, but that if you work hard and you connect with people, that's really where it's at. And I think that having her turn into a frog and have to be forced to connect with another human being on a deeper level is part of why I think she made the choice not to give Dr. Facilier the necklace, the pendant, even though she was promised to have what her dream was. It was more important to have that connection with a person and that everything else will work out. That's kind of my thought process, and I think it's a good role model for young women that they're strong. I also noticed in the real estate agent's reaction to Tiana that she shouldn't really have this, and she shouldn't really get this place because she's just, a woman in her position, and her station was kind of dismissive.
Which is why a little woman of your background would have had her hands full trying to run a big business like that.
And I really like how she kind of got back to a place where she triumphed over that anyway. So all in all, I feel like it was a good role model movie for young women, and it's empowering, and that's part of why I was really impressed with it. And the local culture of Louisiana is very apparent, and I think that just makes it a nice story.
Thanks, Mom. Now, let's hop into Category 1, Best Princess. Once again, this is a very good princess and a difficult one to place. Tiana clearly has a very good work ethic and isn't instantly charmed by Naveen like most girls. She isn't instantly trusting either. She has good morals and a good relationship with her mother and best friend. What I like most about her is her philosophy. While yes, she does work too hard, the fact that she knows she'll have to put an effort into achieving her dream is something I don't think any princess has ever done before. Snow White surely doesn't do anything. Cinderella just kinda hopes it'll come along at some point. Aurora, existed. Ariel sold her soul. Belle just kinda hoped for something to get better. Jasmine tried and gave up pretty quick. Pocahontas was waiting until the wind told her or something. And Mulan wasn't exactly sure what her dream was. Tiana has a much more clear personality than Pocahontas, but she doesn't do as much in terms of being a hero as Mulan. She'll sit at number 2. Category 2, Best Love Interest. Naveen. This one was tough. He clearly starts off as what was it again, Tiana?
No count for Lander and lazy bump on a log.
Yes, that, thank you. We do get to dig a little deeper into his background, proving that living in the lap of luxury doesn't always mean a person will be better off. He does change his tune a bit too quickly for my liking, but it's nice to see his softer side. Once he falls for Tiana, he's a much better character, still funny but sympathetic and likable. His transition needed to be a bit more gradual and start a bit earlier. I mean, look at this. This is when he starts being nice to her in the film. Jeez. I mean, that is around the time when Beast started to be nice to Belle. So where to put him? He's kind of more likable than Shang, mostly because Naveen's insults are funny, but I don't think he's as good of a person as Eric, and he does treat his servant Lawrence kinda harshly. So he'll be at number 4. Category 3, Best Side Characters. Let's go one bit at a time. Mama Odie is freaking hilarious. And while she isn't in the movie much, she makes a very good impression. She's also very helpful for our protagonists. Lewis, like I said, is useless in terms of the story, but he's still funny and not annoying, unlike some. Ray is my favorite animal character. He's also funny and yeah, a butt joke got a laugh out of me. I love his relationship with Evangeline. It's super touching and really lifts the mood after his death. I never thought a movie would kill off a comedic relief character. That's like killing Arnold in the Magic School Bus. Or axing off Dobby in Harry Potter. No! Too soon! Too soon! God! Eudora and Tiana's dad are very realistic and wonderful parents, and Big Daddy, while also not in it very much, is very kind and a likable rich guy. That's hard to do. Lastly, oh my god, Lottie. Lottie is one of my favorite characters of all time in Disney. She's a spoiled rich girl, but she's also kind and sensitive. When Tiana falls over at the party, she leaves her prince to help her out. She's also one of the funniest characters out there, making you laugh almost every time she's on screen. Because of the fact that pretty much every side character was great and I didn't really find any big issues, I have to put them above Aladdin. Sorry, Genie, but you can't hold up the whole group just on your own. This will be at number 1. Category 4, Best Villain. I changed this one around last minute, and before I talk about this, let me clarify what I classify as a villain. It's a character who wants to harm the protagonist for personal gain and doesn't redeem themselves. I counted the guards in Aladdin because we only ever see them work for Jafar, and only a single measly time where they ever take orders from the Sultan. Even then, they're not the same guard. This also means that I won't count the Fenner brothers, as it's not their fault someone outbid Tiana, they could just deliver the news better. So let's go backwards. The hunters are completely useless, and I've got no idea why they were in this movie, but at least they're kinda funny. Lawrence reminds me a lot of Chi Fu from Mulan, a sad, miserable loser who's just a crybaby riding off a successful person's coattails. I think Lawrence is better because he has a much clearer motivation than just being sexist. The friends are wonderfully animated and a dark presence that hangs over the film. They're some of the scarier villains since not even the main baddie can fully contain them. Let's talk about the main baddie, Dr. Facilier. Wow, what a voice, what a design, what a plan, what a character. I miss non-twist villains like this. He's very charismatic and intimidating, actually managing to kill one of the heroes. No other villain has done that so far. He's not tapping into a real fear like the stepmother, plus the hunters and Lawrence kinda weigh this category down. However, I made a last-minute change and put him above Maleficent for one simple reason: motivation. Despite commenters like Akib, I think, saying that Maleficent was upset because she wasn't invited. That was a big thing back then, and also she was just plain evil. That's nothing compared to wanting to get at people who were born better off. That's something many people take issue with. This gang is at number 2. Category 5, Best Princess Song. If I went by message alone, this song would be at number 1. I'm gonna say this now, every single character in this movie has an amazing singing voice. Tiana, Dr. Facilier, Naveen, Lewis, Ray, Mama Odie, everyone is knocking it out of the park. Anika Nani Rose, the voice of Tiana, has the best singing voice out of all the princesses in my opinion. So why is this not at number 1? Well, it's the animation. I like the style, but it's nothing compared to this or this. Because it's longer and more catchy than Mulan's, I'll put it at number 3. Category 6, Best Villain Song. Yet another toughie. Friends on the Other Side is a banger of a song. Or should I say, the beginning and end are. The middle really drags, and I mean really drags. When he's reading the tarot cards, it goes on forever, just being a talking song. I drew a lot of parallels between this one and Poor Unfortunate Souls. They're both about the villain trying to make a bargain with the hero, and both are pretty slow in the middle. However, Poor Unfortunate Souls is less so, because if you buy the soundtrack, they cut out all the bullcrap in the middle, making the drag less than 30 seconds. In Friends on the Other Side, it keeps all that in, making it almost 2 long minutes of nothing. I wish this song was just a continuation of that last bit, because it would skyrocket to the top in an instant. But alas, I cannot have all. It's at number 3. Category 7, Best Side Character Song. There were actually a lot of options for this category. When We're Human, My Belle Evangeline, Goin Down the Bayou, which I only now realize is actually called Gonna Take You There. Oops. I went with Dig a Little Deeper. Lovely message, albeit a bit on the nose, and it's catchy as all hell. It has one downfall though. It's the fact that I have to put it amongst all these other knockout numbers. So much debate with myself, I eventually concluded that the message puts it above Under the Sea, but not enough to topple my love of the Seven Dwarves. Number 5 for this. Category 8, Best Believable Romance. This one feels even faster than most for me. I think my biggest issue with it is that the cliche that I see being used in films, TV shows, just the like. When two characters bicker for the entire film, yet still end up together. Really? Does nobody ever realize that that never happens? And if it did, that relationship would probably consist of, you guessed it, bickering. At least this gets some points for actually having them legitimately interact positively a few times. But again, they're nice to each other here. This is me cutting out the credits too. So their relationship is a lot like Belle and the Beast. Lots of arguing, but they grow together. However, I can buy the lustful child angle more than I can buy a guy who could get any girl he wanted, who already apparently has gotten every girl he wanted.
Because I have dated thousands of women and no, like 2, 3, just other women.
And gives up getting money this quickly. Once they get together, it's nicer than that cliffhanger from Mulan, so they're at number 5. Category 9, Best Animation. I love the visual aspects of this film. The colors pop like crazy, and the style of how everything flows is just wonderful. It's pretty much on par with Pocahontas in that regard. However, there's one thing that will put it on top. Animating its animated characters. Pocahontas has very small eyes, and most of the characters move like real people. There's really only one human character who belongs in animation, and that's Radcliffe. There's a reason that the dwarf's animation holds up today while Snow White's doesn't. They tried to animate and move her like a real person. Animation means exaggerating expressions to read into someone. What emotion is Pocahontas displaying here? I don't know. What emotion is Tiana expressing here? It's pretty clear. All the human characters move animated and lively. They've got exaggerated parts of their body justifying the need for animation. Not to mention they get the slapstick right. What was that bullcrap with all the animals in Pocahontas? This will go at number 1. Category 10, Best Movie. Despite the genie being one of the most hilarious characters ever, this movie is overall the most funny out of any movie so far. It's got plenty of jokes from every single character. Most are clear hits, and even the ones that shouldn't be funny somehow are. It has an endearing protagonist, a great soundtrack, an amazing list of villains, breathtaking animation, so what's the problem? The story. There's so many beats that came out of nowhere, have no reason to exist at all. Some parts go way too fast while others drag on for longer than needed. Why did Lewis have to take them in the wrong direction? Why did we have to watch Dr. Facilier's friends look for the frogs? Why couldn't we see more of Naveen and Tiana working together? I'll also admit this story was really gripping me until Tiana turned into a frog. Then it just became sort of the same thing as any other kids film out at the time. I also have never been a big fan of the message. I still feel like Tiana was mostly in the right at the beginning, just needing to slow down a little bit on how much she worked. She was still young enough to not have to worry about finding the one. It's a good film, but not without its faults. I'll put it at number 4, some key elements lifting it higher. Thanks for coming to the review. I guess it's time to leave the world of 2D animation behind and move on to some 3D. Next is my favorite old fairy tale, Rapunzel and her movie Tangled. I hope you're just as excited for this movie as I am. I'll see you all next month, and remember,
First rule the Bayou, never take direction from a gator.
See you later.